Greetings everyone, my name is FlareBlitzed and welcome back to Missing Time. Just a thought I had, but would you all like a thoughts, speculations, theories video once I've finished up all of the different routes that we can go in within this game? Like when we get to all of this, I'll do another video talking about my speculations and sort of things that are transpiring throughout this game and stuff like that. Please put it down in the comments section below if you would like that. With everything that happened during the weekend, I barely had any sleep. Drifting from one class to the other as if I was dreaming, I'm mildly impressed at myself for not showing up to the wrong places most of the time. Overall anxious about what Shazeo is planning next. There hasn't been a meeting since Ember stormed out of the club. I'm not even sure if there's a club anymore. Shizuyo has been anxious. She hadn't had any luck talking to Ember, and Ember's been avoiding her apparently. Yikes. Why would Ember avoid Shizuyo? I really don't like this, Flare. Well, if this falls apart, we'll be in trouble with the school. Best start looking for a substitute now. Don't say that. They're still our friends at the end of the day. You're right. Sorry. The exams are creeping near, and for once I'm grateful. The rush of schoolwork took my mind off of things temporarily. Yes, because between Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, that's when the exams took place. So a large chunk in the one-ending build was taken away. Whether that's for story-related purposes or the events that transpired there would have just been filler anyways, just for the sake of filler, is either important or not important. The stuff that happens between scenes are just as important as the things that happen in the scenes, if you get what I mean. It's like, what you're not told is just as important as what you are told. I told Shazeo to send me a text to meet up. Hell yeah. Oh, well. Okay, that just shifted. Safe to say I'm a bit uneasy. Stepping inside the posh cafe and seeing Shazeo sitting there with a thick heavy book in front of her. Toxology, it read. Ask about the book. Yeah, let's do that. Wait. Oh, there we go. Interesting book you have there. Shazeo looks up to me, blinking. She folds her book away and shrugs. Grabbed it out of Emery's pile. Wasn't really reading. There's another point where the text took a bit longer. I slide into the seat opposite of her, clasp my hands on the table and wait anxiously. Shazeo takes one glance at me and sighs heavily through her nose. There's no need to look so intense. It's not like I'm going to fail your test. What? That's one thing in common, isn't it? I don't know what's coming. Anyhow, I got the leads I promised. Hey, Shazeo passes a stack of files to me. Hesitantly, I leaf through it, but quickly encounter stats and numbers I can't seem to understand. It looks like some form of lab reports and logs. Confused, I look to Shazeo, but she flicks her wrist, urging me to read. Shaking my head, I skim through the files, debating on where to start. If you were to look at the reports, though... No, wait, this is Shazeo that's gathered them. It's not from the media, would it be? But for me, if I was looking as a detective, I would personally go through the logs first. I pick up a crisp but clearly aged journal. The writings date back as far as 13 years ago from what I can see. My confusion is turned into disbelief. What does this have anything to do with the cases? But I don't think Shazeo is up for my questioning at the moment. Well, here goes nothing. Shizuyo Onishi's logs. February the 12th. The subjects are unstable. They do not cope well with a new Whoa! What the heck is this? This is a bit of story that is new to us. What do you mean about new transplants? For specimens? I fear we will lose a number of specimens by the end of this month. February 18th. The subject's vitals are plummeting. At this rate, further tests will have to be halted until we find new subjects. So the new subjects must be the ones who died and the dark energy traces are left. That was why Ember was very unhappy towards a teacher that tried to confront her. There are also no more volunteers. I stopped there raising an eyebrow. Okay, let's just read this rather than speculate things. Volunteers. Volunteers to find resources and subjects, or the volunteers are the subjects. A shiver runs down my spine at the thought. I shake my head. No, that can't be, right? I've just been paranoid. Shaking my head again, sorry, I'll read on. February 21st, half of the subjects perished last night. The few left were unstable. Experiments C0 and V5 are stabilizing, however. It is highly expected of Experiment C0 to survive this session. By divine will, Experiment C0 might be the key we have been searching for. February 24th, the remaining experiments perish, aside from the experiments C0 and V5. C0 and V5's vitals are stabilized. A new batch of specimens are arriving. Further testing will be on standby till then. March 5th. New specimens have arrived. However, these are of poor quality than the last batch. Experiment C0 is not responding well to the new tests. What about V5? V5 is somehow the special one. March 7th. The new specimens are not faring well to the experiments. C0's vitals are failing. V5, however, is stable. Stand by for updates. This is getting progressively worse. The neat flourish handwriting only serves to unnerve me further. What the hell were those people testing on? The logs go on for about another 5 months. I read on with growing horror as their experiments continue to fail, and their specimens continue to die. There's no mention of V5 dying though, yet the logs never falter, documenting with cold and clipped summaries of what happened. At this point, I'm not sure if I want to find out what exactly they were testing on. We have to persevere, protagonist. No matter how horrific these things are, we must continue to persevere. Otherwise, this cycle will never be broken. Nothing good could have come out of this. September 6th. An unexpected event happened. V5 has finished its transgression, but consumed C3 in the process. We suspect that this is due to direct exposure to the curse. However, instead of being controlled by dark desires, V5 stabilized after having consumed C3, flesh and soul, and expelled the curse's effect. This is a breakthrough in our studies. Experiment V5 might hold the key to vanquishing this plight yet. Blight? The journey falls with a clatter, my eyes wide. I can hear my voice tremble as I stare at Shazeo. The curse. The curse! Oh god, Shazeo, does this mean... Shh, not so loud. Ember is V5. And somehow they erased her memories of those events as well. Because she has no recollection of her past. She only ever talks about the present or the future. Look through the rest of the documents and I'll explain everything. Trying to continue my shock, I took a deep breath. Profile. I pick up a single faded envelope from the pile. Peeling it open cautiously, there's a written profile of some sort, with a smeared words and thick red letters stamped across. Deceased. Experiment number V5? Isn't that the one that survived though? Admittance date decreased or deceased? No, it can't be deceased because there's an R there. Status orphan surrounded by something. Name not applicable. Blood type A. The document goes on with more medical information, but what catches my eye is the crinkled photo at the top corner. A kid stares defiantly at the camera, teeth baring and blue eyes blaze. Shaggy brown hair sticks out in every direction, absolutely unkempt by the features. It's difficult to tell the kid's gender. The weirdest thing is, I can't shake the feeling that I know this kid. The kid Chiharu never really explains about her past. This is someone we know. Shazeo searches my eyes, her hands coming clasping together, lips a thin line. It's Ember. Oh! I should have felt shocked. V5 is Ember. The kid was identified as V5. That also explains why Ember doesn't really have a... Is Ember a normal name for somebody? I don't think it is. Because this scenario would explain why Ember's been given a name like that. Because she doesn't recognize, or she doesn't remember her past, because these experiments would have erased her memory somehow. I should have felt shocked. I should have been surprised by this. Okay, my speculations about Chiharu just threw out the window. Instead, I feel simultaneously sucker punched and drawing realization at the same time. It's an odd feeling, but I suppose I should get used to this. In that strange state of mind I have, the most I can manage out of my mouth is, "I have questions." Of course you do. Finish reading up everything and ask away. I'm all ears. Then we have the reports. Amidst the documents there is a stack of reports. Cautiously I pick it up. The earlier stuff isn't important right now. Skip to the end. I think we should. I know that's going against Shazeo, but I think we should read through everything to get the backstory. The first few pages aren't very interesting, as Shazeo said. Mostly they are about stock, supplies, dates, and timetables. I leaf through these quickly. The numbers didn't mean much to me, but I do take note that whoever these people were, they are preparing and stockpiling for something big to happen. Suddenly my eyes catch on a familiar name. Shazeo. Pause my skimming. I read the report concerning her. Shazeo is first to be moved downstairs. She expresses signs of displeasure, but relents when Emery visits. She has yet to understand the purpose of her separation from Emery, however, and Emery is not keen on explaining it. So this must be Emery's parents, or at least one of them. Brows frowning, I try to decipher the context. So this is concerning Shazeo's household. While she moves downstairs, what's the purpose of it? The only familiar thing would be Emery's cold attitudes towards the ordeal. It seemed like she understood what was going on, but neglected to tell Shazeo. The first test phase begins soon. Shazeo is the key to our success. If not, her purpose will be forwarded as Emery's aide per regular protocol. I glance up at Shazeo. The way she behaves, the way Emery treats her, neither suggests that whatever test given Shazeo was a success, nor is she Emery's aide. So what happened? I read on, but there isn't any further mention of Shazeo. I skip to the end of a stack as Shazeo said. Experiment V5 is undergoing some unexpected mutations. A new cell must be constructed to contain these new energies. In the meantime, V5 must be kept stated at all times. I think if you can somehow mangle all three of these different types of documentations, you will have a chronological order as to how this goes about. There is no indication that V5 will regress into its natural form after the mutation took place. As of now, the creature is unable to be introduced back into society. V5 also needs to consume mortal flesh and souls to maintain sanity. Ember. Jasmine. Back the hell up. What? Consume mortal flesh and souls? What the hell is this, Shazeo? Shh, keep reading. Bewildered and disgusted, I looked down at the text again. It is decided that due to its destructive and feral nature, Experiment V5 is to be put down. The corpse will be disposed using standard procedure. Cremation. There is no follow-up. I'm not sure if I could read any further if there was more. It's just revolting. Where'd you even find all this stuff? I'm sure you have a lot of questions. Just finish reading everything and ask me in one go. We've already done everything. But will there be some, like, flashbacks or familiarities if we look over some of them at least one more? Like I said earlier, if you can splice all these three together, you could probably put it in chronological order so you can see what exactly happened here. I'm going to put a save here for now and use a different save slot because I'm intrigued by that. I'm done. I lean back, needing the chair's hard support, and distance away from these infernal documents. I'm not sure in shock is still an appropriate way to describe how I feel right now anymore. I don't think there's even a word to contain all of this. This OST is brilliant. I'm sorry for making you read all of that. I stare at her for a long moment. Wordless, a sigh then escapes me. It's a lot to take in, but it's fine. It's something that you need to show me, or someone, at least. So Ember. Ha ha ha! Ember is V5 then! I couldn't help but quiver of resignation in my voice. I want to deny it, I really do. I'm not hoping Shazeo is going to debunk that. She is the one who brought this forth after all. But it's also wild. The whole thing with the cursing experiments. I just can't seem to wrap my head around that. Yes. Running around through my head, I prop my back up straight. It's one thing to play detective. It's another to learn your friend was some kind of secret experiment subject. It's not so that I'm prepared to wrap my head around. Who could have, really? I have so many questions. I'm not sure we even have the time to go through all of them. I'm not sure I'll have the tolerance to go through all of them either. But I have to start somewhere. These experiments, but what were they? What's the purpose, I mean? Discomfort rolling off of her in waves, Shazeo glances around the room, making sure no one is listening. You are aware of the curse's myth, right? Yeah, I mean, I've been told about it enough times when I was a kid. And you are aware that the Onishi is a vital part of that tale. I don't get what she means at first, but when I do, it's as if the ground beneath me has collapsed, hands shooting out to grip the table. I try and fail to steady myself. A jarbled string of noises escaped me and I feel my lungs constrict. No. Is one of them a sacrifice then? Flare, calm yourself. The experiments. They were to control the curse? Suddenly, Shazeo gives a curt nod, like an idiot I gawk at her, while simultaneously trying not to fall apart on the inside. Apparently the expression I'm giving off is clear enough for Shazeo to give a weak quirk of her lips, voice faint. I shouldn't have brought this up in a public space, huh? But I really have no choice. I don't know where else to. I hold up a hand to stop her. It's fine. I just needed a moment to freak out. I should have done this somewhere more private, huh? Maybe. But you always watched, no? Yeah. Not today I shook my tail. Really, it gets easier the longer I do it. Closing my eyes, I took a deep breath. Part of me still wants to believe that this is just an elaborate prank, but as mischievous as Shazeo is, even this is a bit too much. But I don't think Shazeo would lie. The moment that most of my head is convinced that this all looks legit enough is the moment I realise we are probably on a rather short timer, and I'm wasting time. I'm okay now. Go on. You know that in the myth, the curse was created by a demon our ancestors imprisoned. Yeah, so I was told. The curse, well, it can't be erased completely. It latches onto hosts. Once the body dies, it will find another, hopping on, until there is nothing but death and grief left in its wake. So it's like... it's a disease. It's like a disease then. It's more like a parasite. It picks a host, corrupts their emotions, driving them to insanity to commit atrocities. At the same time, it feasts on the host's soul. The more corrupted, the quicker it eats away at them. Are you saying the cases was committed by a curse? I'm saying it's highly possible, yes. But didn't the legend also say that the Onishi captured and sealed the curse away? And if it really is the culprit, why didn't the Onishi, Emery, get involved sooner? Shazeo twists her hands together. Her eyes sparkle with uncertainty and fear. Something churns inside my stomach. I'm not going to enjoy what I'm about to hear next. That's the problem. The curse is locked away under heavy layers of seals and enchantments deep beneath the shrine. Then... how? I gesture vaguely at the documents scattered before me. At the moment, Shazeo curls her arms to herself and averts her eyes. Ultimately, however, her gaze falls onto the papers between us. That's another problem. See, about 40 years ago, the shrine wanted to find a way to destroy the curse. There was an incident prior, where a shrine maiden was possessed during a seal enchantment ritual and was killed. It happened when the previous head, our mother, was a child and she wanted to find a solution. Permanently, yes, a way to break this cycle. And that's how... So you could say in a way that yes, the instances are caused by Ember, but the origin of the causes was by the curse. And somehow the instigators of the curse are somehow tied to the Onishi family. But in a way, they're trying to find a way to rid of it completely. But in doing so, has either angered the curse, or just somehow allowed it to escape. So she started experimenting on children. I want to say that's how we got the experiments. Okay, we'll go with this. Shazeo startles. Yes. I don't know. I don't think there is anything I can say in this situation to make it look less terrible. I'm not sure what I can even say to her. I'm not sure I'd be able to keep the contents of my stomach if more earth-shattering information is dropped on me. What happened during the experiments? Well, she glances down at the folders again, but her eyes are unseeing. They got kids, babies, really, and infected them with fragments of the curse, and applied multiple enchantments on them to see if anything worked. I think I'm going to be sick. This is a joke, right? How could they? Oh God, so they were testing on children after all. How could any self-righteous person, how could anyone think whatever situation acquired this way would be in any way acceptable? Desperation. It's not until Shazeo's hand darts out to grab mine do I realise I'm shaking. Her face is paper white and her lips pressed together so thinly she could draw blood. Shazeo is just as terrified as I am. Or even more, this is her family's doing all along. I might be scared and appalled, but I can't even put myself in her shoes right now. I place my other hand on top of hers, squeezing. At least we have each other. Shazeo leans away, averting her eyes from mine. I lick my lips dryly. How do you even progress from here? This could be another catalyst point. It's a tough question. I'm interested about the Onishi, because that leads on to the experiments, which leads on to Ember. It's sort of reverse chronological order as to how the curse was infused to the subjects. I raise an eyebrow at Shazeo. Something gets up. Knowing she never outwardly involves or speaks about anything regarding the Onishi, even though bubbly, Shazeo is always careful when the subject of her family enters the conversation. I can't decide whether that reservation is out of fondness or fear, but it is plain as day the certain amount of restraint Shazeo has over her own personal opinions. So why tell me all of this? Could it be because of the flippant attitude Emery showed when Shazeo's well-being is concerned? Is it the straw that broke the camel's back? Shazeo, I really appreciate you telling me this. I really am. But I have to ask you, why me? Because I trust you. Taken aback by her conviction, I blink. I trust you too, Shazeo. Thank you. She nods, wearing her bottom lip. That didn't seem good. I've always been independent, but this time, I think I'm in over my head and I need help. What's next? So what are we going to do now? I don't know. What can we do? The authorities aren't going to help us either. All of these aren't great options, but at least the slight chance of even considering the authorities, like the bottom two options, they won't get us anywhere. Shizeo tugs at the end of her hair nervously, chewing her bottom lip until it's... Laying low probably is our best option right now. But what if someone finds out? I don't know how to answer her. I don't know if I can. And I'm scared to know. It feels like the walls are coming in, trapping us inside. I think the most we can do right now is keep you out of trouble. That has an expiry date as well. What might happen if Emery finds out? Shazeo's chuckle is humorous. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You can never really tell with Emery. We might be twins, but there's always this wall between us. I wasn't wanted by my parents. If there's one thing that she has made clear, well, Emery doesn't want me either. Shazeo averts my eyes, but I've had enough. My heart aches for her, knowing that in this moment of fear, she has absolutely no one to lean on. Automatically I reach out, clasping her hand in mine. She startles, like someone who has never gotten enough affection and doesn't know how to react to it. But her shoulders relax at least, and a tiny smile quirks up her lips. Thank you. I've got your back, Shazeo. She turns up her palm and squeezes my hand. Her smile growing a tad brighter. We sit there in mutual silence, indulging this one drop of peace in this recently excavated chaos. There we go. What's going to happen now? I have to bring these back. Trying to get caught, basically. The unspoken animosity weighs heavily in my chest. Shazeo clears her throat, deftly collecting the scattering files with trembling fingers. She is visibly schooling her expression into a mask of indifference, but I can see the cracks at the edges. She simply cannot keep up a bubbly facade anymore. Feeling my heart constrict out of fear and pity for her, I reach out and steady her hand. Startled, Shazeo looks up at me, eyes wide with questions. We should, go somewhere. To get our heads off of this. Maybe on the weekend? Ooh. Why, this is the smoothest and most Oh, the music goes back to being casual! Lovely! Why, this is the smoothest and most inappropriate date invitation I've ever gotten. I reeled back, suddenly realising what I just said, immediately feeling my cheeks heat despite the situation. But that's... Shazeo, there's no time to joke! So you're asking me out for real then? I opened my mouth, a heat retort halfway out of it before I swallow all the words back. All things considered, well, what if it really is going to be a date? It's not that Shazeo isn't attractive, and we have been growing rather close considering everything we just uncovered. Maybe we have to be close now. Besides, there shouldn't be any harm in a date between friends, right? As Shazeo is currently standing at home isn't going to improve in the immediate future. I need to be strong for her. It can be, if he wants it to be. Oh. Aww. Oh, lovely. Before I could react, Shazeo swoops in and plants a kiss on my lips. She flounces out of my reach immediately, winking as she waltzes through the door. I was right, Flare. You really are to die for. Should we take those words more literally? Or something else? And disappears out of my sight, leaving me to stare with a jumble of feelings in my heart. What have I gotten myself into? I wouldn't lie. I had mixed feelings when I received Shazeo's text. I look at the restaurant. No, the fanciest restaurant in town. She really goes all out on first expression, huh? Adjusting my shirt, I can't help but feel underdressed, even though I put on my best outfit. Hovering a few feet away from the entrance, I wonder if I could just walk in. Did Shazeo place a reservation? Is she already inside? Flare, so early! Oh, Shazeo! I freeze mid-turn, gawking. Now, Shazeo, that is an absolutely beautiful dress. Long, slender fingers gather the tumbling cascade of her dress. Shazeo steps out of a car. Or is it more like a limousine? Glittering black heels accentuate the length of her creamy legs. Her thighs tantalizingly hidden by a veil of dark organza. The crystal bedeled bodice. Lots of words I can't pronounce. Hugs her leaf body, training down into a gorgeous train that has every hue of the night. You should close your mouth before you drawl over that nice shirt of yours. My jaws snap closed with an audible click. Smug, Shazeo flicks an elegantly curdled lock over her shoulder, her hands sneaking around my elbow. Shall we? Alright. Heart thumping in my chest, I fall into steps beside Shazeo. Onishi. Reservation for 2. Right this way, miss. Ah, this is a beautiful sight. This really is. Still stunned. And the dress is all purple as well. My favourite colour. I at least remember to pull out a chair for Shazeo first before sliding into my own seat. The provided menu is a convenient escape. What do I say to her? I haven't been to a date this caliber before. The most common thing to do is to compliment her, but the way Shazeo carries herself, she knows every head will turn. Plus, with the tension after all that happened, I don't think a formal nicety would be the best way to open the evening. Inhaling to compose myself, I scanned the menu. Great. I don't recognise most of the items listed. They are all in French! And they are all without a price tag. Should I text Chiharu for explanations? Would that be cheating? Ah, Flare, would you like me to help you with that? Yes, please, Shazeo. Do you know French? Oh, how smart of you. Yes, let's take her kindness, please. I mean, yes. Yes, no, yes, no. I'm bamboozled by everything that's going on. Yes. If you're offering, then I'd be grateful. Indeed. Oh? You always just know what to say, huh? Leaning over the table, Shazeo's finger slides down the top of my menu. The gesture is intimate and seductive in a way that drives my eyes away from her. Hehe. I end up with pork ritios for starter and something called Chok Arvine for menu. For Shazeo, okay, I'm just going to skip past that. Shazeo orders drinks for both of us, something called Orkata. Minding myself to keep my back straight, I let out a quiet, relieved breath as the waiter takes the menus away. I didn't realise there's such a fancy restaurant in town. This town isn't known for tourist attractions, you know. The drinks arrive. Shazeo takes a graceful sip, wetting her lips as she does. Under snow-white lashes, she gives me a glance. Why do you look so serious all of a sudden? I don't know! Maybe it's because we're in the hands of such a charming, lovely woman. I stopped myself frowning. What to say to her? Oh, dearie me. Compliment her. No, what do you mean? What do you mean? You're the one who always turns the conversation serious, Shazeo. Putting a hand over her chest, Shazeo gasps in mock surprise. Me? Why? I am the least serious person you'll ever know. I shake my head. Anyhow, you were saying about the town's attraction. Ah yes, the silence. Shazeo hums over the rim of her glass. This town attracts a lot of rich businessmen, not because it has good potentials for investments, but because it is quiet. It's a good getaway from the chaos. You keep saying that word. I'm getting there. Be patient, dear protagonist. The people, they don't care who you are, whether you are rich or poor. Famous or a nobody, the only name that matters is Onishi. Is this because of the shrine? Something like that. The Onishi is a pretty big deal, you know. We watch over an imprisoned demon and everything. She drops that line so casually, I choke on my own spit. Yeah, it's almost as if this is completely normal to anyone who is outside of this cyclical nature that is the Onishi family and shrine. You're joking. I assure you, I am 100% serious. Shazeo, I am the least serious person ever that you will ever meet. Also, Shazeo, I assure you, I am 100% serious. Taking another sip of Orkata, Shazeo sobers up. You ever seen the files? Well, it might not be a demon, but curse is still there, you know. Hence the tight security and even tighter traditions. We don't want anything to get out. Don't look so serious now. I assure you we are not going to be possessed anytime soon. Shazeo, just even saying that line even gives me worms in my stomach, you know. Really now, Shazeo? They don't care, you know. I raise an eyebrow. The businessmen started having their second, third homes here a couple of years back. They don't care about the local myth as long as they get their piece. A carved piece of luxury. Gesturing around us, Shazeo lets out a mocking chuckle. Obviously, the locals don't want to lose all these perks either. Would be a shame if rumours blow out of proportion and run the town to the ground, huh? It takes me a moment to realise she is talking about the cases. You're just saying that... You're saying they suppress the news on purpose? They have no reason not to. Have you known this for a while, haven't you? Why don't you tell anyone? What's the point of bringing up something that everyone knows? Don't tell me you are that oblivious. Look, Shazeo. I just came back to this place, okay? I was abroad for years, don't know how long, and you're just saying that as if I should know everything. Like, nah. Shazeo's been infuriating again. At this rate, she could just straight up lie to me and I can't even tell. Yeah, exactly. But that revelation also makes me think. Ember has always been so adamant about the town covering everything up. But she never asked the question, well, actually, there's something that Ember is truthful about the town always covering up everything, because it could be involved with these rich businessmen just controlling the media in a way. But that revelation also makes me think. Okay, I've already read all that. The only thing Ember and Emery ever argue about is the case's cause, not why they are covered up and so obscure. Shazeo is right. They must all know, except for me and Chiharu probably. What about the cases? What do you think happened? Who do you think is right? As if on some kind of infernal cube of food comes out, cradling her cheek with a palm, Shazeo flutters her eyelashes at me. No, don't be so tense, Flare, lest you want to spoil these wonderful treats. Begrudgingly I take a bite. I can't decide if I'm angry at Shazeo's flippant attitude or how good the food tastes. I'm somewhere in the middle of this, guys. You're going to have to help me out. The pork ritzies just melt on my tongue, spread on perfectly toasted buttery bread. The lightness of the meat and just enough seasoning make the flavors pop, not the flowers. Delicious, isn't it? Yeah, one of the best things I've ever tasted. Dabbing the corners of her mouth delicately, Shazeo giggles. I always find your honesty refreshing. Aww. Isn't that just the cutest thing ever? Don't give me that look. Enjoy yourself. After all, what is life if you don't enjoy it a little exactly? Do you do this kind of thing often? As often as life allows me. The things that she says. You never really answered my questions. Oh, that. Shazeo deliberately doesn't answer me. She savours each piece of her appetizer, humming after every good bite. For a while there is nothing between us but the dulled clicking of utensils, muted ambience, and an increasingly unsettling forbearance. Have you ever thought that perhaps there isn't just one culprit? Is there something that the files, the logs, and the reports are not telling us about? The question is just as sudden as the waiters swooping in to clean the table. Shazeo watches me intently, a hand under her chin, a slight smile playing on her painted lips. I hold off my answer until the waiter is out of earshot. I have my suspicions. Do you now? Do you know why the town's myth is so important, the files aside? Does it have ties to the deaths? Perhaps. It has been the blame for the most unexplained deaths in this town's history. See, Flare? The demon's curse can't be erased completely. It latches onto hosts. Once the body dies, it will find another, hopping on, until there is nothing but death and grief left in its wake. Over the years, the Onishi worked tirelessly to eradicate the curse. They couldn't, and the only solution is to contain it, seal it away just as with the demon. Speechless, I stare at Shazeo, waiting, but she doesn't want to continue. The waiters come again, leaving steaming mains with us. But even the beautiful aroma can't drag my focus away from Shazeo. I mean, how can you? She's just that beautiful. So you said the curse caused all of this. Maybe I am... What? Why'd you say it like that? Maybe I am. Let's say they don't have anything to do with the cases. But if it is a curse, they wouldn't... Then wouldn't Emery know? Okay, there we go. That makes more sense. If that's the truth, then why does she keep a lid on this? Shazeo watches me for a long moment. Long fingers playing with the silverwares and my nerves. It's all about crowd control. I thought it was going to be like that as well. It's all about letting as fewer people as know as possible. The most trusted people as know as possible. We eat in silence. The food is good, I'm sure of it. But I can't bring myself to think about that right now. That was good. Care for some desserts, Flare? I'll pass. Are you sure? Dining here is a rare experience, you know. Ah, how about sharing? You know what? That sounds like an excellent idea. Alright. Do you want to choose? No, you go ahead. Give me your Shazeo surprise. Alright then. Flagging down a waiter, Shazeo places her order. Cheese board, which doesn't sound like much of a dessert to me. Trust me, it's delicious. Besides, I don't like sweets. This is infuriating. Even though she promised to tell me what she knows, Shazeo is still beating around the bush. It's almost like the moon. The moon orbits around the Earth. The moon is the question. The answer is the Earth. But the gravitational pull doesn't pull us to the answer. Because Shazeo is that gravitational pull. Sure, she has given me some information, but a lot remains in the dark. Besides, there are possibilities too dark to explore without a concrete answer. Shazeo, if the curse is somehow related to all of this, then why is Emery keeping it a secret? Emery sees the world in a particular way, Flare. Even if it turns out to be something else, in her heart of hearts, she will believe in it until it becomes a reality. That's how she was raised. But doing that won't change anything. But whatever you grow up in, your environment, your parents, the way you was brought up, the events that transpire around you, your friends, your family, your school life, or just the things that you like, they all have a catastrophic influence in the person that you will be today. I agree. I came to check on the curse's containment chamber. It's no longer whole. Emery definitely knows, but she doesn't say a word about it. But she is refusing to tell anyone. For what? To prevent chaos? Shazeo shrugs, taking another sip from her glass. Somehow, she suddenly looks jaded, her eyes losing its shine. That almost said shrine then for me, I don't know why. Who knows? Pride? Shame? Responsibility? I think with Emery, it's definitely responsibility. I think Emery is oblivious to any kind of resentments of pride or shame. She is raised up because of this sole purpose in the responsibility that she has been burdened with by the family. I think you know why. Something ugly seizes within me. It's clear I'm in denial, and it's also clear Shazeo knows that. The flowers flash from my mind, and I pinch my leg hard to prevent myself from jumping over the table and shaking the answer out of Shazeo. Her knowing smirk does little to help. Yeah, that smirk really does not help this situation. But it is a very soothing smirk in a way. How long? How long have you known Shazeo? A while ago. Not that it matters. I don't have her powers, you know. There isn't anything I can do about the curse. Can we at least try to find the host? Then what, Flare? Kill the host? The curse will only latch onto the nearest person without a capable Oni there to capture it. Can we convince Emery to stop acting like everything is alright and find this curse then? Careful there, Flare. You don't want to push Emery too far out of her illusions. She might lash out on you instead. You see, Emery's illusions is the problem then. There needs to be a way to break her out of her illusions of the responsibilities at hand, or the self-proclaimed responsibilities that Emery and Shazeo's parents have put onto her, to be able to know that, you know, this isn't something we can just make believe. But if we don't do anything, more people will suffer. Shazeo rolls her shoulders. I narrow my eyes. How does the curse affect a person anyway? Good question. I was told it attacks the host's mind first, drowning it in an uncontrollable rage and unreasonable thirst for blood. So it's like turning a person into a zombie. Additionally, it grants the host otherworldly traits. Enhanced strength, enhanced senses, the whole package. So a bit like Ember then, with her enhanced strength, to be able to completely pulverize Jasmine back at school. Enhanced senses too, the whole package. The senses indicate that she'll be able to get away before her wolf-like form would be able to be discovered by anyone else. Wouldn't that make it easy to find then? Supposedly, however, a mortal's body cannot withstand the weight of a curse for too long. It ravages the flesh, succumbing the host to an extremely quick death after a possession. Records said after being infected, the host would only live up to 5 months the longest. So why is Ember still with us? But the killings have been happening for a whole year, and then before that, something special about Ember. And wasn't that mentioned in the logs about the huge time gap? Like it was February and March, and then it was somehow September, wasn't it? My bad. Is that why she said there was more than one culprit? Chills run down my spine. I recall Shazeo's own words a couple of months back. We are indeed in over our heads. Seemingly not sharing my worries, Shazeo hums to herself as she spreads a bit of creamy goat cheese over a cracker. Try this with fresh grapes. So, try this with the fresh grapes is divine. Accepting the bite of treat, I stare at it forlornly. Shazeo, you seem awfully calm about this. There isn't anything I can do about the situation. Is that really how you feel? She bites into her piece of cracker, chewing to drag out my anxiety. Why shouldn't I feel that way? Besides, I will not live long enough to see the conclusion of this. Best to enjoy this game we call life for as long as I can. Foreshadowing. My fingers go slack, the bit of fluid clatters to the table. But what do you mean? It's good to meet someone from outside the town. I get to explain things and be a know-it-all. Shazeo, be serious. What do you mean by I will not live long enough? Oh, that? Folding her arms, a small smile plays on the corner of Shazeo's lips, mocking, tired, bitter, with a dash of self-satisfaction. Whoever were born into the Onishi is blessed with great power. To prevent the powers from diluting, we only ever have one hair. I am an unwanted child. Wipe that look over your face. I don't want your pity. I don't. In order to keep the curse in check, they have to use a lot of said power in their lifetime. But of course, being mortals, they can't serve as vessels for long. Excessive use of magic wears the body down. That seriously cuts down one's years, you know. I was thinking cuts it down by 1 year for some odd reason. But Shazeo, you said you don't have any power, so why... That's a screwed up thing, since there has never been a second child in the whole Onishi lineage, much less a twin. They didn't know how things would turn out at first. I can tell you right now, what they were most worried about was the powers being split between the two of us. Then wouldn't you think there would be 2 Shrine Maidens to prevent the curse from escaping? Shizeo gives me another piece of cracker, her expression unreadable now. When it was clear that I have no powers and that I won't be leeching them off Emery either, the experiments came. Experiments? A laugh rattles out of her, dry and venomous. I will spare you the gruesome details. Long story short, I became some sort of vessel for Emery to channel all the magical defects into. So it's like Emery can use the powers minus the negative parts of it. Oh well, at least I'll die young and beautiful. Shazeo, stop acting like that! I don't want you to go! Hands shaking and mouth gaping. I can't seem to find the words to respond to her. This is absolutely unthinkable. Is this why Shazeo acts the way she does? Is this why she chooses to drag everything out for so long? To feel like she is part of something, no matter how horrible it is? Ember, on the other hand, might look like the lonely one. But Shazeo is the truly lonesome one, surrounded by everything, yet having nothing at all. an empty existence, filling herself up with games and luxurious things, only to meet an inevitable end. Twisted, beautiful and tragic. Is that what happened? You were one of the experiments too? Shazeo shrugs. Though for the first time since this date started, she looks uncomfortable. Does it matter? What's done is done. I stare at her. Horror echoes onto my face. Of course it matters. You're a human being, and they are your family. Suddenly her eyes narrow. Shizuyo's hand shoots out and grabs onto mine. This is a surprising amount of force in her grip. I have to bite back a cry. Don't you even dare say that to me. I told you I do not need your pity. She lets go just as quickly. Her face molds back into a mask of nonchalance and mischief. But fine. I suppose you do enjoy grueling details after all, you sick blank. So let me tell you a little story. Shazeo, you don't have to. Of course she ignores me. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful little girl. She was bright and well behaved. Always did her very best in anything her mother asked her to. But try as she might, she was always outshined by her own twin sister. Her sister who was also prettier, smarter, and better than her in every way. Shazeo, you don't... The little girl didn't think of it that much. Excuse me. The little girl didn't think much of it though. She didn't care that she was left out of every event, that she never had a present on any holiday. She only cared about her being next to her sister, to grow up together and help protect the town that they were born into. They made promises to each other, at night when no one else could hear, that they would be the best team there would ever be, that they would stick together forever. But one day, gosh, the girl's mummy thought the younger one had served her purpose and should be given a new one, and so she was taken, away from her sister who watched on without a word, into a dark basement filled with tubes and seals she didn't understand. There were tears, there were screams. Nobody cared though, and nobody came, not even her sister who swore to stand by her side until the end. Shazeo. Needles were put under her skin. Sometimes she was put in chambers cold as ice or hotter than the sun. She was stripped to the skin, chained to the ground as faceless people chanted around her. She cried a lot at first. Every night, when we left her alone on the cold hard floor, she cried, wondering why her sister hadn't come. I sat frozen in my chair, tongue-tied. I stared at her in horror. What could I even say to that? She doesn't want my sympathy. It's far past that point. I can't even blame her for being straightforward about things. Nobody in the right mind would want to talk, listen, or even believe the nightmares she described. Eyes ablaze with hatred, Shazeo tossed my numb hand back to me. Her lips curled up in a mocking smile. But it's okay. That little girl will go down in history as another nameless victim, should she stay silent in her cage. It's okay, because that's what was asked of her, what she was made to be. But I'm not that kind of person, am I? Shazeo, The words are caught in my throat. I don't have the right to say anything to her, not after all that. I'll pick up the tabs. Thank you for tonight. She picks herself up, elegant and prideful. Before I could get another word out, Shazeo has already slipped out of the restaurant. I wish I hadn't eaten anything. It's all trying to crawl up to my throat now. Wow. The weekend leaves me a bit of a loss. I don't know what to expect. After everything that was spoken about, Shazeo never further explained anything that she showed before the date, and the way she worded her past was unnerving to say the least. Okay folks, I think I'm going to end things off here. I'm sorry for getting a bit emotional like this, but from all we've learned today, that has put such a twist on the overall story. Like, I expected the curse, sorry, but I didn't expect the other matters, like the experiments. Like, how could a family, how could anyone do that to their own flesh and blood? Every single person in this world has a meaning to be here, has a meaning to live a happy life. Everyone has a right to stand up for themselves and not let the cyclical nature of governments or politics or anything like that enforce somebody's mind to just say that you have to live this way because that is what society tells you. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry, but after hearing Shazeo's story like that, it's just crumbling. And no matter how awful and how dark this has gotten, there's gonna be someone else out there, somebody else, who would have been treated way worse than what Shazeo's been through in real life. In real life. But thank you. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next time. This won't affect you, but I'm just going to be taking a little bit of a break from recording because my voice has been recording for a near 3 hours, like 3 hours now. But thank you so much, folks, and take care of yourselves.